Hello, everyone. This is Apostle Babe Linda James, your favorite apostate, and it is the 23rd of August, 2025, and it has been a hot day here in Southern California. Oh, yeah, and I'm your favorite apostate. And I tell you this every single week because I have to keep you brainwashed. And I can't brainwash somebody unless I tell them the same thing over and over and over again. Well, there's other ways too, but one of the ways is to tell you over and over and over again that I am your favorite apostate. So I am inculcating you, your brain, which is a word we used to hear in the organization all the time, to inculcate, which means basically to hammer it into your brain that I am your favorite apostate. I know, right? It sounds so silly, but that's what inculcate means. And yeah, so it has been hot. It has been hot, hot, hot. Um, like I get nutso when it gets too hot. I know I've told you guys this before. Any of you that um, that have been hanging out with me for a while knows that when I get like this, I am so grumpy. I get so um, short-sighted, and I just turn bitchy. I turn into like this nut job. Like I think everything's a freaking conspiracy. Um, I fall. It's bad. Let me just say it's bad. And I'm not proud of it, but this is how I get. As a matter of fact, I can tell I was on Facebook earlier today, and there was a post that someone made. As a matter of fact, I should look it up and read you my comment if it's even there, because I just went and cussed all the way through it. That's not my norm for things on Facebook or whatever, or even here. It's like I do sometimes, but I don't cuss a whole lot. But let me see if I can find it. Let's see here. I was listening to some music earlier, some Stevie Nicks, and that put me in a good mood. Let me make sure the sound is down, because you never know what kind of sound is going to pop up. Okay, let's see here. Alarm is up. I don't want the alarm up. Okay, let's see if I can find my what I've done. I usually can find that on my page. It says my activity log. Okay. An activity log usually will tell me the posts that I've made. Why I can't see it now, I don't know. Let's see if I can find it here. Activity log. It might take me to the same place. This one. Your Facebook activity posts. Because I made a comment. Let me see if I made it. See if I can find it. I made a comment. Gosh, I haven't gone through this route in a long time. Comments. Okay, let me see if I can find it here. It's probably going to show me comments other people made. Oh, here it is. I found it. Okay. So, let me see if I can open it up. I'm trying to push on it so I can go there. Why isn't letting me go there? Let's see. View. Yes, I'm going to view it. Okay, so Tony Balchen, Balchen. By the way, he is the one who gave me my title, Apostate. When I first showed up on Facebook, he welcomed me kindly and gave me the title Apostate. And I dug it from minute one. And I've kept it ever since. I love it. So he writes out this post about what it was like for him since he's been disfellowshipped. You know what? I'm just gonna. It's public. I'm gonna just read it. In memory of my dad, I lost 7 years ago today. The only upside of dementia was that he didn't remember that I was excommunicated from the church, and I was able to visit him almost weekly and wheel him into sunshine and play his favorite bands. The day he died, it was the first time I had seen my brother in so many years. So, of course, you can tell by now this would be an extra Jehovah's Witness, right? His son, my teenage nephew, who I basically never met, was there as well. My brother was on one side and I was on the other. I wanted to make sure I didn't have this thing turned off because I'm not looking at your comments right now. Okay. My brother was on one side and I was on the other. He looked at me and said, "I never knew this man." And then he says, "I felt relieved when he said that because I felt the same way." I said I didn't know him as well. I'll also never forget the church elder who pulled me aside that last hour my dad was alive to let me know that thanks to Jehovah's mercy, the family and friends were talking to me during this moment because of extenuating circumstances. It's been a long road. That's the thing that really had me hot. What that elder said to him, that just had me so mad. Okay, it's been a long road to let go of the anger that I felt over these years, that moment, the hurt those words caused, and to just focus on doing what is right. I can't change the rules of the religion and what my family believes. I can only hold out hope that their doctrines on shunning will change while I'm still alive. The religion has changed so much in the 25 years since I was disfellowshipped. They had to be more progressive because the religion is shrinking. People are dying off and you can't hide from the internet. Rumor is birthdays are going to be allowed soon based on your conscience. After 100 years, you can now have beards. You don't have to report your monthly hours for knocking on doors. The dress code has lightened up. You can even make a toast now, something that was forbidden when I was in. So many changes. I hold out hope that one day I can go skydiving with my brother, that I can go surfing with my nephew, and that I can go out to dinner with my mother. Until then, I'll keep my head held up high and hope that the way I conduct myself, that the friend, husband, and member of society would make my dad proud. So, and then he has pictures of himself as a little kid with his father, and one of him like with his father when his father was elderly. And then there's different people with different comments. Let me see if I can find mine. I was so pissed. I was so pissed. It was that elder statement that had me so mad. Oh, it had me so mad. Okay, here it is. Okay, I said, thanks. So I'm quoting, "Thanks to Jehovah's mercy, friends and family are talking to you right now because of extenuating circumstances. Fuck him. Elders like this, they go out of their way to pull someone aside and away from everyone else, are cowardice assholes who know better than to speak to people like this out in the open because it's cruel and unusual treatment and socially unacceptable behavior. So for the most part, they do these kinds of cruel things behind closed doors and in the dark. But with you, he hands you that line of shit hoping that it will upset you and get a rise out of you as he gets off on attempting to still have dominance and authority over you." And then I said, "They were talking to you because they wanted to. And his sorry, miserable ass looked, looked around and realized that he's not going to be able to put a stop to the results of this sad situation that has brought your friends and family together who actually care about you and are showing it. So that was my little comment from like 2 hours ago, just causing up a storm on this comment. But I was so mad. I was so mad that this elder had the gall to be like, you're just, fortunate that you got to have somebody, your family and friends speak to you. And he was just holding it over him. It pissed. And like this comment said, within the hour before his father passed away, this is not the way every elder acts. But the ones that do, just, it just really, some people just get off on the having that sense of authority and power. And what it really is an abuse of authority and power. And because of the way they've been trained, they don't get taught like what ethics are, as far as that would be an abuse of their authority. That would be an abuse of that position of power that they hold. But once they realize that they can do that, the kind of personality that has that bit of cruelness in them, it shows up. And the kind of personality that does not will look at a situation like this and know that they could, but won't. They just won't. They'll see that, yes, there's that opening where that could be done, but they won't, because their conscience won't allow them to. And I still believe there's some decent elders out there. Yet the more I find out what the elders do know, the less and less I have that opinion. But that's just my opinion. So I just wanted to give you guys an idea of like my attitude, what my attitude has been like today with my getting overheated. But now I'm going to go to the channel and go into the comment section and see who's watching. Hello, guys. Okay. Yay. All you guys are here. Very cool. I'm going to try to open this up to get all the messages. Okay. Hi, Nadine. And hi, Dallas. And 587 Maverick. Good to see you. Wild Wall. Yay. And Marissa. Hello. I've been texting Marissa off and on. I was in the middle of texting Marissa, and I actually fell asleep. Okay. And then when I get up, I'm looking at the text, and it's got a whole lot of 8s and 0s and letters and stuff where my thumb had fallen asleep on the when I was messaging her back. Like, that's how tired I was today. Very, very tired. So anyways, Elaine, good to see you, and Rebecca and John. I'm so glad you guys are here. Shack Composer, the mermaid. I know it's a Laura mermaid, but I just like to call her mermaid because I love mermaids. Mermaids are awesome. Hi, Tony. Good to see you. And Grove is here as well. Did I get everybody? I hope so. I'm really glad you guys are here. I really look forward to this every Saturday night. And Dallas. Yes, I did say your name, yes. Earlier today, Stephanie was having a show, and there's this gal named Cheryl. You might know her. She comments a lot, and she's a previous Jehovah's Witness, and she used to go by Cheryl Saint Germain, I think, and she showed up today as Cheryl. Okay, and like I said, she's a woman of wisdom, but every so often she'll blurt it all out and then just be like, I don't know why these Jehovah's Witnesses are so dumb. And I got on her butt. Chased her down in the comments. People are saying hi to me, and I'm just like ignoring all the highs, going straight for her, going, JW's not dumb, you know. This is the mood I've been in today. They just got deceived, okay? So, what I want to say to you is, hi, Natasha. Good to see you. And Dehydrated Nurse. Hello, love. Listen, I think we all kind of go through these stages of like, how dumb was I? You know, especially those that have been recruited, right? How dumb was I to fall for that cult, that the deception that was given to us? But the fact is, anybody can be deceived. It does not matter how smart you are. Matter of fact, the Watchtower or Awake even did an article years ago about like a rocket scientist who was recruited to be a Jehovah's Witness. That's brilliant off the charts. That's not dumb. But even he, a rocket scientist, can be deceived, okay? And let me also remind you of this. Cults do not want dumb people or people that are like developmentally delayed, which I don't think she meant at all. She was just talking as she does, and it'll slip out every so often. She's got a lot of great information to say to people, okay? But every so often I get a hair up my ass and I'm all doing like I did today, okay? So cult leaders do not want those that are developmentally delayed or people that are disabled. They need workers, okay? They need people that are sharp, that will understand the instructions and go by the instructions. And people that are smart, once they catch on to that loyalty thing of being loyal to whatever it is that we're encouraged to be loyal to, we can be very loyal, okay? So these are things that someone who's dumb won't catch on to. Cults don't, they don't recruit dumb people. They don't recruit stupid people, okay? Part of the reason why those of you that were recruited is because you are smart, okay? Because you are wise. Okay. Here we have someone who happens to be on the brilliant side. I meant to tell her earlier this week. Hi, sweetheart. How are you? Cannot hear you, and your mic is not off, but I don't hear you. So I'm going to keep talking. Maybe something needs to be plugged in on your area. This is Karos, and so just know that. Give yourself some grace. This is what happened to us, and it's more. You might be able to look back at this and realize this when you were recruited. What they had to do was gaslight us. Okay. Okay, Karos, I see that you blocked your sound. Maybe if you undo it, I can hear you. Let's try that. Okay. Nope, I can't hear you. I don't know why. And I heard the intro video, so I know that the sound is working on this. Okay, so maybe you can leave and come back in again, because I do want to hear what you have to say. You always share really cool stuff. Thank you, sweetheart. So they gaslit us. What is gaslighting? Gaslighting is when someone has to convince you that your own decision-making skills, that your own way of thinking is not as good as you think it might be, and that you need to doubt yourself. And it kind of gives you the impression like you might be crazy, okay? That you no longer rely on thinking skills. Okay, I'm going to add her to the stage. Hello.
Hello.
There she is. I can hear her.
Somehow I had unplugged my mic.
Oh, wow. Okay. So gaslighting, I'm just going to finish up this little point about describing what gaslighting is, and I totally want to hear what you have to share. So gaslighting is, they take us to this point of, from, people are used to relying on their own decision-making skills, and they let you know your heart is treacherous, you can't trust yourself, and they'll use scripture, okay? All kinds of stuff that lets you know that trusting yourself is dangerous. And then it's like, and here we are, this religion, this group who claims to be led by God. So, do you want God to give you directions on how to live your life, or you, which after they've been telling you all these scriptures about how terrible it is to rely on yourself, plus you think back about some of your own decisions and you've made a few screw ups, we all have, right? The idea of God making and directing us sounds like a good deal. Okay, but they had to gaslight us to no longer trust our own selves and to become loyal to that organization, because we truly believed God was giving us directions through that organization. So have some grace on yourself. That's not dumb. That's not stupid. That's called being deceived. Okay. So yeah. Okay. What's on your mind, Kuros?
Who,
What's on
me?
your
Oh,
mind?
me?
Yes. Yes.
Not much. Just I with the new take on disfellowshipping rule or some whatever. I'm not sure what the Jehovah's Witnesses believe anymore. It's so weird now. But I've been in contact with several members of my family that haven't spoken to me in years.
I keep hearing
And
this.
and
Yeah.
I just have a I'm sorry, trying to
No
get
worries.
myself to tell this story. I'm trying not to laugh and cackle out loud
You can.
because I know I used to believe a lot of the same things. And yeah, so a little backstory before I tell what occurred. I was disfellowshipped for fornication in my early 20s, and subsequently I ended up married to a woman, and later on divorced. I've always been queer. Men, women, love is just love to me. I had a boyfriend in high school.
Mhm.
So I'm not sure
Right.
where they lost they got the idea that I was completely against men. But lo and behold, the last few couple of years I've been dating this guy, and I keep my private life to myself. Unfortunately, my
Okay.
sister has a big mouth. I love my sister. She's my best friend, but she has a big mouth.
Okay.
And she somehow it got to my mother, who's a Jehovah's Witness, and my aunt, who's also Jehovah's Witness. And
Okay.
so, being that I was in contact with my mother recently, I was complaining to her about the economy. And I had gotten laid off. I have a job interview coming up, but I had gotten laid off, and I was really irritated about it. And she tells me, well, Satan is attacking you because you're trying to live your life the right way.
Oh
And
yes.
because of you no longer engaging in certain acts, Satan's just going to be coming after you. And I'm like, what? And it took me a moment to process what she was talking about. And
Yes.
this is a show for adults, correct?
Every time I post the video, I post it and say under 18. This is not made for an audience under 18.
Okay.
I haven't. That's what I do with all of them, and I haven't.
So
I don't know if the kid's going to see this. I don't know.
please, if there's children around, please cover their ears.
Yes, kids, cover your
So
ears.
the first thing that unfortunately almost made its way out of my mouth was, so Satan cares whether I suck dick or eat pussy.
Exactly. That's what Satan's keeping track of on a daily basis with
And I
everyone.
told this to my
on
boyfriend,
this
and he
earth.
goes, please tell me you said that to her. Please tell me you said that to her. I was like, no, for once I was behaved. and
I know
it's
the
just
thoughts. Yes, the thoughts.
and apparently
Trying to make sense of
she's
that.
telling my aunt that I'm going to be living like in the next block from her because my boyfriend lives not too far from my aunt. I'm like, when did I say I was getting married? And like, apparently this is just news across my family.
You done
And
been married off, haven't you? Done married
I'm
him?
like,
How many kids do you have?
right. And then she asked me about grandkids, and I'm like,
Right. I was right. Oh my God, this is hilarious. Okay.
and I'm like,
Yep.
since when does my aunt want to speak to me? She hasn't spoken to me in up teen years.
Wow.
And I'm just like, oh my god, these people are insane. And I'm like, but I can't say that because I used to believe the exact same things.
Right, right, right. And it's weird to look back and go, I thought this very same thing. What was I
Mm-hmm.
thinking? But if we are getting no other information from no place else to compare this with, why else would we not be thinking that? That's what's been inculcated into our brains from anybody that's in our family that's a JW, our spiritual leaders, our, you know what I'm saying? So of
Mm-hmm.
course we think this way. The only reason we don't today is because the subculture, which is what I call the organization, a subculture meaning a culture over to the side of society at large that's inclusive, even though they're not a compound. We were all trained to self isolate, so we kept to ourselves and didn't really take advice from those that were not Jehovah's Witnesses. I mean, elders and everybody that's in the Watchtower. We considered them as having better authority than people with degrees and stuff out there in the world.
Oh my goodness, yes. And the amount of brainwashing in a lot of religious organizations to not believe scientific facts because of
Yes.
what the Bible says or because of what some man said, you know, 50, 100 years ago. It's
Yeah.
And
And
what kills me
I
is they know nothing about this guy until I told them who it was. This guy could have been a axe murderer, and all you knew was his gender.
yeah, you were sexually being appropriate, evidently. Wow. Yeah. So for people that are listening, like you said earlier, you're queer. You've always seen yourself as queer. Now that since you date a boy, a guy, I'm sorry, a guy, a man, okay, does this mean you're no longer queer? Have you
Oh
switched
my
to
God.
straight? I mean, like,
I've
what is?
gotten that question, and I'm
And
like,
I'm
since
asking because I'm thinking a lot
no,
of people are wondering.
no,
Okay,
I still like, and I was asked that same question by my mother, and I said, Mother, love is love. I don't look at
hello,
gender
Esty.
when
It,
considering
Hi,
a
can you hear me?
partner.
yes, I'm gonna. Yes, welcome. Let me have Kuros finish this answer, and then I'm going to come on to you. I am sorry, Kuros. I
Oh no,
interrupted
you're
you.
good.
Can you answer that again? Your mom asked
Um,
you that very same question, and
yes, and I told her, I said, she asked me, do I still like girls? Because I'm young, and apparently girls is the appropriate term. And I told her, I said, when it comes to love or a partnership, I don't look at gender. I don't care whether it's a man or a woman. I judge the person, for who they are and my compatibility with them. And so, as long as we're both considering adults, I don't
mhm,
care, you know, what gender they are, as long as we match, we're appropriate for each other and we mix. I said it just so happens that the last person that I got to know happened to be a guy, and he and I just seemed to work out. That's just what occurred. And I'm still queer. I still look at women. He and I were literally earlier this evening talking about Selma Hayek and a new picture that she posted. And he and I were literally just gushing, going, "Oh my God, she aged like fine wine." I'm like, "Oh, totally, totally."
yes, yes, she's beautiful.
And so we.
Sounds to me like you've fallen in love with their soul, and whatever
Yeah,
body is attached is whatever body is attached. Is
yeah.
that
I mean,
that fair to
yeah.
say?
That's fair to
Okay.
say. He's my best friend, is what I would term him. I've actually known him since first grade. And we went to the same college, and we grew up in the same neighborhood. His family even briefly went to the same congregation as ours
Oh
um,
wow.
when we
Okay.
were children. So he and I have just known each other, and just recently it kind of switched over. And he's my best friend. That's what I would say. And he's someone I love. Gender
Yeah.
aside, he's who he is.
I think we lost her for a second and she's back. Okay, good. Hi, I'm so sorry you got dropped. Welcome back.
Hey, Pastor
Look,
Bay.
hi.
Can you hear me?
Yes. And
Okay.
yeah, I just wanted her to be able to answer that question. What's on your mind?
On my mic?
Yeah.
Oh no, I just come in to listen. Were you guys talking about the education and Watchtower, or?
I was talking about for people not to feel dumb or stupid if they've been recruited into this organization. And then Eros joined me and talked about somebody she's starting to date, and
Mhm.
and she's queer. And then I asked her a question that I thought that many people from the audience would want to know: if she's straight now. And she just explained, nope, she's still queer. And I asked her, would it be fair to say you fall in love with the soul, and then whatever body is attached is whatever body's attached? And she said, yeah. So that's about where we're at in the conversation. We're just letting the conversation kind of just flow, and whatever comes to mind, we just talk about it.
According to my family, I'm the prodigal child.
Yes, me too. Me too. I've seen you, Esty, on many live chats and making comments and stuff, but I've never had a chance to hear your voice. This is really cool.
Do you remember me when I did your Thanksgiving 2023 and we talked about Jim Jones Jr.?
No, but that sounds exactly like something I would talk about.
Yeah, you had it on earlier. It started at 4.
Okay.
And because that was early for me, I'll try to go in, and I was able to get in.
Are you here in the States, the United States?
Yeah, California.
Okay. Oh, you're California. Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, Jim Jones Jr. was actually one of the very first black children
Yes.
adopted by a white couple.
Yes.
And when you hear him speak today, he speaks fondly of his father, Jim Jones, of Jim Jones and
Yeah.
I had
the
no
People's
idea.
People's Temple, which was from 1978. It was considered that they all committed suicide, but we later found out it was a suicide massacre, 1978 November. When he
Wait, he has
speaks,
an adopted black son?
yes, he called his family a rainbow family because he had different nationalities. He had some that were biological with his wife, and then he adopted some.
Oh,
And
you learn stuff every day.
yeah, it's really interesting. So when he speaks of his father, he speaks of his father very fondly. Like he doesn't experience his father as what we've studied him to be, if that makes sense. You know, his dad was like good to him and stuff, so he didn't see that side to him that was cult like. What do you remember about it, Esty?
Oh, it was just odd working with him, knowing what happened.
Wait a minute. No, I don't remember. You worked with him?
Jim Jones Jr.?
Junior, yes.
Yeah, I worked with him in a hospital, and he worked in the radiation
I
department.
don't remember that at all.
You don't remember our
Woo,
conversation? It was in
no.
2023. You
Thank you.
started the live stream early at 4.
Okay.
So that was a good time for me. But now you usually have it at 9 o'clock, so I usually go to sleep by now.
Okay. So he works as like doing radiation as like a nurse, like a person that
He does
serves the public or something.
respiratory therapy.
Okay. Good for him.
Yeah. I'm not sure if he
Good
still
job.
works at the hospital there, but
As a matter of fact, his parents, so his mother and father, Jim Jones and the woman that he married, they met at a hospital. They were both working at a hospital together. That's how they met. Yeah. Wow.
But Jim Jones Jr. is very quiet, and he just does his thing, and it's nice, and he just says bye, and he goes on to his way.
Yeah.
And
But-
you know, who is that Congress lady? What was her name?
From California.
Yeah. Is it Spikes or Stephanie? She lives in she represent California.
At this time or
She
some
was the
other
one that
time?
went down to Guyana and got shot.
Okay, that was a congressman. It was a man,
And
a male.
her
Yes.
and her assistant was shot, and that was who was her name?
That's who you're trying to remember the name of?
Yeah, is that
Okay, let's see if I can
Stephanie?
figure out. Jim Jones and the people that were killed at the airport. On November 18th, 1978, 5 people were murdered at the Port Katama Airport airstrip in Guyana on Jim Jones's orders, moments before the larger mass murder-suicide. See, now they put it together, mass murder-suicide at the Jonestown settlement. The airstrip attack was catalyst for Jones ordering his followers to engage in revolutionary suicide and drink cyanide-laced punch. Backgrounds. Victims at the airstrip were part of a delegation led by the U.S. Congressman Leo Ryan, who had investigated the People's Temple cult in Jonestown after receiving allegations of abuse from former members. The delegation included journalists and concerned relatives of cult members. After spending time in Jonestown, Ryan confirmed that some cult members wanted to leave with him. Let me just say this right here. A narcissist, which I've been taught that that's what cult leaders are. They fall on the scale of narcissism quite high. So things around them, if you try to take their things away that they believe belongs to them, that's bad. They will have what is called a narcissistic injury, and things get very bad after that. So Ryan is like, anybody who wants to leave with me can. He did this visit, and then he's taken some of Jim Jones's people. All right. Jim Jones considers them possessions of him. Like he owns them. Okay. Let me just go further now. Victims killed at the airstrip as Ryan's delegation and 16 People's Temple defectors prepared to board 2 planes at the airstrip. They were ambushed by armed People's Temple members sent by Jim Jones. The 5 people who died in the attack were Congressman Leo Ryan, so he was killed. The U.S. representative was shot and killed as he tried to help people escape. There's Bob Brown, an NBC cameraman who covered the story. Don Harris, an ABC correspondent reporting on the investigation. Greg Robinson, a photographer for the San Francisco Examiner. And Patrick Parks, a People's Temple member who is attempting to defect with their family. So consequences, I'm trying to find who those people. I know who you're talking about. I've seen her. She's done a few interviews and stuff. She survived.
It's Jackie
claimed-
Spear.
Thank you.
I thought it was-
Okay. There you go.
I thought it was Patricia Parks, not Patrick. Maybe
Jackie
I'm
Spear.
reading.
Okay. Yes. Jackie Spear. Okay. Yeah, that's her. And what were you were saying about her?
Yeah. I work with her husband, who's a doctor,
Okay.
and then the doctor drove the 4-year-old son to school, dropped him off, and as Dr. Sierra crossed the street, it got hit by another car. and the person driving that car, because the brakes didn't work, was a Jehovah's Witness who killed her husband.
Holy crap.
So
Wow.
I think to this day they don't realize while Jackie Spear was involved in a cult, now another entanglement with a cult member, that killed Dr. Sierra.
Which was her husband.
Yeah.
A
And
doctor.
then, do you guys watch ABC7 Stephanie Sierra? Anchor?
Let me just pause here for a minute, because even after this whole, suicide massacre happened, there was understandings that after Jim Jones's death, there were certain assassinations that were to play out. So back on the homeland, like the States or wherever, there were people that got murdered after. And this has me really curious, because I would hate to think that a Jehovah's Witness was part of that. Like you said, they lost their brakes. There was people that were supposed to take out those that knew things and could, tell information. That is so fascinating. This woman's been through hell. Okay, she's 75 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now go ahead. Do I watch what show?
Hmm?
You were asking me if I watch a certain show. You were saying the name of a lady, I think, and I asked you to wait because I wanted to bring up a point. Do you remember now? I ruined it.
No, I don't.
So we were talking about her.
Oh, the daughters. Do you watch the news? ABC News, Stephanie Sierra, the anchor person?
I'm not sure. I do see ABC at times. Let's see. Stephanie
Lately, she's
Sierra,
been doing the
ABC News.
ABC on Your Side, where she kind of fix problem bills. Well, that's
looks like a brunette. Stephanie Sierra. Yeah, she looks kind of petite. And
that is her
brunette.
daughter. That's
Wow.
Jackie Spears and Dr. Sierra's daughter. And Dr. Sierra died when Jackie had Stephanie in her stomach.
So she was pregnant when her husband was killed by accident.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. So she never got to meet her father.
No.
Wow.
But
yeah, Stephanie Sierra, if you guys were listening, look this up. She's a real pretty girl. Wow. Nice smile. And her mother too, who I just looked up a minute ago with the help of Esty. She's a beautiful woman as well. Wow. That's fascinating. That's too bad that she didn't get to meet her father, and that he died in that way.
Yeah.
And you can't help losing, your break star. And so I just opened up a picture on Instagram, and it shows San Francisco, California, in front of like a trophy kind of. Looks like she got honored to be nominated alongside colleagues that she respects so much, and dated June 18th, 2024. But I thought this was a cool picture because it has a picture of her standing next to a gentleman. So yeah, okay. Well, if you ever, if it ever feels comfortable to you to ask Jim Jones Jr. if he would be willing to do an interview, get in touch with me if he's willing to do that. If not, I don't want to intrude in his life. People do deserve their privacy, but if he's up for it, Love to.
Yeah.
I would love to
I-
interview him.
I don't know where he's
would-
at now, though.
Oh, he doesn't work with you still?
No,
Okay.
I retired, and
Oh, I see.
I think
Okay.
he left and to work something else. I think he does something related to being a pastor of a new
Okay.
church. But that's about it. All I know.
Okay. Now, see, him and some other brothers or other people were at a basketball tournament the day that this all went down. Okay, that's why
Right.
they weren't. That's why they didn't. They were not part of the suicide massacre. They were like someplace else. So they're, survivors of Jonestown. And the term "don't drink the Kool-Aid" came from this specific event of the Jim Jones People's Temple suicide massacre in 1978, November 1978. And people look at that situation and wonder, and see, I was like 13 or 14 when this happened. But people will look at that like, how could they have done that? But I remember being 13 or 14, looking at a newspaper stand, because back in the day, they would have newspaper stands, and the newspaper, the front portion of the newspaper would be brought up, and you'd see it through the glass. And I remember looking at a newspaper stand thinking to myself, I get it. Like, I knew exactly why all of those people committed suicide, which at the time, that's what we thought, that it was, they all committed suicide.
Well,
At the beginning, they didn't know it was also a massacre. Go ahead.
thinking about that suicide massacre thing, like a friend of mine made a very scary statement to me. Because I was, it was like it happened like 9 years before I was born, but I heard the term "don't drink the Kool-Aid," and I'm like, man, how could that happen? And she said to me, she says, "Do you really think if the governing body told us we were supposed to be drinking wine, specifically sent from the governing body to the organization during the memorial?" She says, "You don't think everybody would do it?" And I just froze, and I was like, "Oh my God!"
Let's ask the audience. Audience, what do you think? Like what Kuros just suggested. Do you think if the governing body actually sent some wine and said, "This memorial service, y'all get to drink the wine," do you think that JWs will drink that wine at the next memorial service? Put yes if
Yes.
you think so, and no if you think not. I personally think that they will.
Yeah, I think so too.
Mermaid said, "Oh, definitely." I agree. Yeah. So anybody, Maverick, you're saying good night. Thanks for coming over and hanging out. Dallas is saying yes. Rebecca Wise is saying yes. You get it. Yep. Wild Wall said good night to Maverick. But yeah, it's that kind of knowing, which made me, when I looked at that picture, made me go, yeah, I totally understand why they did it. But at the age of like 14, I did not have the words to explain it. And I could explain it today because I've done some self-education and stuff. But, and Marissa says yes. Natasha said yes. See, we totally get it. Do you
Good
hear
night,
that?
Maverick.
Everybody's like, they totally get it.
I finally got on Maverick.
Thank you. Was Maverick helping you? Maverick's
No,
a
I was
cool
trying
dude.
to get on another streamline earlier, Facts on JW,
Oh,
but I
okay.
couldn't do it on my desktop.
Oh, I see.
So I said, okay, I'm gonna do it again on Aposta Babe.
Right.
So I'm doing it on the phone, and that is easy to get on the phone. Because the
It really
desktop,
is.
they ask you too many questions.
Yeah. Yep.
So anyway,
That's cool. Yeah, he is very, very helpful
yeah.
and just a really cool dude. He's very chill. I like him.
Were you guys talking about the new education change?
No,
No?
but why don't you tell me about it? Are you talking about new education change within the organization, or
Yeah.
Yeah,
in
I heard about that.
what's the deal with that? I'm not sure
Well,
if I heard this. Can you share it with us?
yeah,
Esty?
they're saying you can go to college now. And
University?
university, college, trade school, vocational school.
As
And
someone who missed out on an Ivy League education because of these people, I
Right?
could have shit a brick.
I know. I think I'm shitting on right
yeah,
freaking now.
and they directed the elders there not to ask questions.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so I'm really happy to hear about that. But now my head is wondering because an elder, if their child went to like university, and I'm talking university as opposed to a trade tech, meaning education to expand the mind rather than teaching and doing labor things or service industry. You see what I'm saying? So I'm under the impression that if an elder's child does that, the elder is asked to step down. I wonder if that's going to be okay for people that like are elders, their children as well, or family members, even their wives or themselves. God, if they could get a bit of education, especially in psychology and sociology, because sociology teaches about how a society functions socially, different things socially, and the organization is a society, right? So, and then psychology, the behavior of human and animal behavior, it they might be able to like teach some things that would help them not do harmful acts to the members, you know. Yeah, it would help them not do things that are really. I hope they can do that, or I hope that it would go into the how elders are trained. That's what I'm thinking. That's kind of exciting news. Wow. Okay. Wildwall says yes. The governing body update was very interesting about it. About it's a conscience matter now. If anyone wishes to pursue higher education, such as university, wow, college, etc. Kidding me? Oh my God! Oh, I have to look that up. Oh my God!
Giant brick.
I,
No
I
room.
right. Oh my God! This is amazing to me. Like I almost want to cry because the lack of
The
education.
lack of education and critical thinking in that organization that's how they maintain most of their control and got with so many ridiculous beliefs over the years. I'm just
Yes.
like, whoa.
Wow. Wow. So yeah, I'm gonna check into that. That's you know what? I'm impressed. I'm really impressed. Wow.
I'm wondering how that's going to work though, and how they're going to continue maintaining their control over the populace. And I mean, is this an effort to expand and kind of change the rules to be more palatable to people, or like I'm wondering what the logic is behind this change in view and how they're planning on keeping up with the brainwashing, honestly, when
So
you're going to have people going to school and learning ancient history and critical thinking and sociology, psychology, etc.
yes, I
The soft
totally
sciences.
well as um what's her name? Natasha last week welcomed me She's like, yeah, we have a lot of your doctors up here. A lot of the doctors from the States have gone to Canada and elsewhere. Researchers, Canada and elsewhere, because the colleges have been gone through, the Smithsonian Museum has been gone through. It's being whitewashed. It's even AI.
Oh, that's right. I forgot they're doing this whole Prague University type junk in the mainstream education now.
Yeah. Welcome, Culty Talk. I'm glad you're here. Like, they're doing this whole thing, like the way Trump put it was like, we weren't as slavery wasn't as bad as history has shown it to be, or like they made it worse than it really is, or how they described it was basically they're whitewashing it and getting rid of some of the history of what history has, and they're calling it woke, so they get rid of it, right? Because it's woke, but it's actual effing history, and they've gone through it and took it down. I'm furious about that. This has been a tough week for me, actually, with politics. And please today give me grace today, because I'm not my usual.
No, I'm a woman of color and
Right?
Black and Indigenous, and this whole administration, I had to numb myself.
Yeah.
Completely, or else you'll lose your mind.
Yeah, and I don't have it documented. This is something I heard from a gentleman who has a YouTube channel who is a lawyer and kind of keeps up on things with politics and stuff. And he mentioned that there's, I don't remember who it is. They're doing investigations on ICE locations and stuff, and so that it can later be handled lawfully. Okay, and there's tons of miscarriages happening amongst women. Okay, and neglect.
Oh, inside the detention centers?
Correct.
Yeah,
And
I remember hearing about that, including one woman who was eventually deported, told her story while she was over in, I can't remember what country it was, Guatemala, El Salvador, one of those. Yeah, she told about having a stillbirth.
I heard that a woman who had a miscarriage was left. I think she was taken to a hospital kind of facility, but then she was left alone for hours. So she didn't get the care that an ordinary patient would get from a facility. Now, this brings the turning over of Roe versus Wade. Okay, what happens? What happens when a woman is having a miscarriage is the body no longer holds this fetus against the wall of the uterus, and it's purposely ejecting it from the body. But what a woman goes through is it can take hours upon hours. They will have labor sometimes, depending on how late they are in the pregnancy. But once a fetus is removed from the wall of the uterus, it's not going to live at all. But what Congress or whoever it was up in the land of politics, these men, I don't even know who they are, have decided that there needs to be no heartbeat for a doctor to help a woman that's having a miscarriage through what is called the D&C, which helps clean out what's happening in the uterus. Okay? Because that's the same procedure as an abortion. And if you help me out, SDR, are you kind of a nurse? maybe you know this, but I believe on the charts of gynecologists,
It says, unfortunately, I've been through a miscarriage, and it's literally called a spontaneous abortion.
yes, it's documented as an abortion. That's the whole point I was going to say. The body is, and the body won't do that unless there's something wrong with the fetus. It doesn't just do it because whatever, you know. It's a phenomenon that
Yeah. It's not happening because of shits and giggles.
correct, yeah. So because somebody in government who doesn't know the indoor plumbing of a woman, okay, she has to be not cared for hours and hours and hours. Then they get a septic infection and die. Okay? And nobody has connected the effing dots to know that if somebody is in that situation where their body is going into, like you said, a spontaneous abortion, that a DNC would assist this woman from hours and hours of pain and actually prevent a woman from becoming septic and dying. Doctors are being told that they'll be put in jail. They'll lose their license. Okay? This is what doctors are facing. So it made me go in my head going, was this person left there for hours and hours and hours because doctors have their hand, you know, held behind their back and they're not allowed to do anything when somebody's having a miscarriage, you know? And then her baby was a stillborn, like what you're saying, the situation you're saying is that, you know, she had a stillborn. She still had to go through all the labor and everything to give birth to a stillborn, you know? I don't know I don't know what they would decide at that stage. If I don't know all that, I just know that doctors have been prevented from doing it, what is called a DNC, when a woman is having a miscarriage, because they haven't put it together that once the fetus detaches itself from the wall of the uterus, it's not going to survive, but it still will have a heartbeat. So while it has a heartbeat, that's the law, that a doctor can't assist the woman as they used to. Yeah, I'm not happy. So I think I need to move to something else. Okay. Culty Talk, I'm late, but I'm so glad Dan addressed all the abuse video. I missed that. That were put out this week. He did so great, and I personally appreciate it very much. Yep, there's been some drama, people. There's been some drama. And I've been keeping track of it, too. And let me just say, whether you've caught on to it or not, anybody who is in a position that shows their face or does anything like what I'm doing now, we're all vulnerable to it, okay? And part of the freedom of having our own different routes that we take and stuff, and getting to have our own opinions and stuff, we'll go into disagreements, we'll go into judgments, and that just kind of happens. And every so often, it's like, the way I put it is, oh, it's your turn. Meaning everybody gets a turn usually, which is not nice to say, but I have to laugh it off because it's actually tragic. It's actually very hurtful. And unless you can kind of laugh it off, you're not going to be able to get through it. If you are the someone that's being, accused of crappy things, okay, and or if a smear campaign is happening. So that's how I kind of put it. It's like, oh, it's your turn, meaning it's going to happen to pretty much any of us, and it's likely to happen to any of us that show our faces. And so I'm glad to hear that Dan has a way about him. I'll have to. So what she's talking about, I think it was on 6 screens, right? Oh, thank you for being so, wow. That's very private. Thank you for sharing that, mermaid. Okay, so people were making some comments. Yeah, um, we call it a regime, not an administration. Culty Talk said tough week, definitely, but I'm great, thanks. So people are asking, okay, Wall asked her how she's doing and stuff, and then Wall says, glad you're here. Glad to hear you're doing great. I know sometimes, as you said, some weeks can be a bit tough or challenging. And Aurora Mermaid said, glad you're doing better, Culty. Um, Natasha said, what? Degenerates. I think she's name calling in a protective kind of way. So much like, don't pick on my friends kind of way. Here I am always like, I don't approve of the name calling, and I'm all laughing at Natasha. Erase. Please don't hold me on this one, okay? So, Aurora Mermaid shares with us D&C procedures are for miscarriages and cancer screening too. I had a D&C last year. That's where they caught my cancer early. Oh, that's so fascinating. I didn't even know you had cancer. And then Culty Talk says to Aurora Mermaid, she put up that icon that's a hug. And Wild Wolf says, I didn't see Dan's coverage. Yeah, I haven't seen it either. Was this on Rick's last show or somewhere different? And Laura says, yes, everyone can have a turn, but do it in a respectful way. Culty Talk said, yes, but Quinn attacked private people too, who are not on YouTube or making videos. Okay, and then a teary eye. And John says, Culty Talk, Quinn, right, not Ruby. Yes, so we're talking a gentleman named Quinn, not our Ruby Quinn. Right, that's correct. Thanks for pointing that out, John. Alora says, Wild, it was in 6 screens first show tonight, about an hour in. So the first show is usually Anne Marie. So we'll check it. And it's always left, we can always go back to it on Rick Farron's channel, Rick Farron's YouTube channel. Even though it's 6 screens of the Watchtower, it's on YouTube under his channel, under Rick Farron. So if you want to find it, check that one first, because that's usually the first one. About an hour in. Okay. And Culty Talk, correct. I would say Ruby if I met Ruby. Okay, so she's being specific. That's good. Degenerates to tie doctors' hands. Ah, okay. Yes, I see what
You
you're
know
saying.
what I was thinking?
What?
If I were ever to do like a show about news and stuff, I would totally do it Daily Show style. Because
you?
the stuff we're
Would you?
yeah, because the stuff that we're dealing with in this administration is so sad.
And it's like you got to have something to take the edge off, because I'm sitting here like, man, this is some really crazy stuff. I'm like, it's straight out of a comic book or dystopian novel.
Thank
and it's
you.
like,
Yes,
you
it
know,
is.
what's today's update on the dystopia? Well, everything's on fire. You know, I mean that's literally what's happening every other day. I'm like, California, Oregon, which one is it?
Mm-hmm.
And
In Canada?
Just yeah. We're living in one of our post-apocalyptic novels now.
Yes,
I'm just
we
waiting
are.
for the Hunger Games to start.
Right?
District 13.
Laura's last comment said, yes, I had a hysterectomy last year. They got all of the cancer. I'm really glad to hear that. And what happens with a hysterectomy, so there's, indoor plumbing for a woman, there's the uterus, and then there's ovaries, right? We have 2 ovaries. Men have testicles.
Did you say indoor plumbing?
Correct. women's indoor plumbing. Like they don't see it, so they don't know what's happening. And you know who taught me that? My mother-in-law of my first husband. She called me her daughter-in-law until the day she died. And when I got kicked out of my house, I went and moved in with her son and her, and she helped to finish raising me. She was a very good woman. I was still going to beauty school at the time, and I was going through ROP, and I had to come up with $8 every week and bus money, and I wasn't working. And she managed to come up with that $8 every week and the bus money every day to go there and back. And it would be like crinkled up dollars and change, and she made it happen for me to finish going to beauty school to become a hairdresser. She didn't have to do that, She chose to take me under her wings and care about me.
That's literally, I have someone in my life that did the same thing when I ran away
Yeah.
basically from the organization. He literally put me up in one of the houses that he was remodeling, and while I was finishing my IT training. And that man, to the day I die, I will always hold him. My career, just my sanity, because I didn't know how I was going to make it when I ran away.
Right? Another thing that happened during that time, I'd take the bus to beauty school and the bus back. When I take the bus back, there'd be 2 buses I would take there and 2 buses I would take back home. The one coming home, once I got off the first bus to go onto the second bus, there was a very, very long curved area to walk to get to the second bus. And it was all industrial. Not homes, but industrial. And it was a bit dark. And there was an older gentleman that took the bus every day who made a point of walking with me every time to that next bus stop. I was like 18 or 19 at the time. He didn't talk much. He didn't say much. But I knew that I knew he was walking with me as a man with protective eyes to make sure that I was not a young lady out there as an easy victim. That was like,
they like to say that there's no good in the world and there's no that worldly people are bad. I mean, that is so untrue. There was an older gentleman who I took the bus to get to university, and I was 19 at the time, and I'm sure he was up to illegal activities. He sat at a little empty lot where they sold a lot of stolen goods, and he was an older gentleman, heavyset, and he watched me every day and made sure I got to the bus stop safely. And there's more than one time he told some young gentlemen to leave me alone. Oh, she going to get her education. Leave her alone. Don't talk to her. And he would give me books that he would give me books that he would procure from places. I would get first choice of any of the books he got.
Nice. That's so awesome. I've noticed that if you pay attention, there might be some protective eyes out for you. And I noticed it happened with like my kids too. I would hear about certain people that were in their lives that kind of had a protective eye out for them. And it's priceless. And I think of what the gentleman with you and even the gentleman that would walk with me, it's like that's chivalry. That's being a gentleman and having a protective eye on a woman. It doesn't mean she's less than. It doesn't mean she's not equal. It just means this is reality. And 9 times out of 10, it's the woman that gets attacked over a man. And I didn't get to know him. We didn't stay in touch after beauty college, nothing. But just for that time span, I was really, really thankful for that.
I always wonder what happened to him. There was eventually they sold the building to someone, and The guy stopped showing up there. By that time, I had graduated. And I always wonder what happened to that old man.
Yeah, sometimes people are in our lives for a season, for like a reason, something season and reason. Healthy Talk. So weird. On my screen, your name shows up. Just, she's talking to John. And so where I was going with that indoor plumbing thing was if you're okay, so uterus and fallopian tubes, and I forgot the word. So if a woman gets to keep them, they won't go through a wicked hormonal change. If they get rid of the ovaries, okay, a woman will go right into menopause. And it's a pretty drastic hormonal change to have to go through that. Whoa. She's, Laura Mermaid said, my surgeon used a robot. Very non-invasive. Healed up quick. Amazing. Okay, Wildwall said indoor plumbing and outdoor plumbing. Everything about plumbing deals with sex. Male adapter, male threads. Female adapter, female threads. Yep. I've noticed that too. Very good point, Wildwall. And Culty Talk says, Wildwall, same with the computer plugs and receptors. Huh. Yes, Culty, you are right. It's amazing how these conversations go. I love it. You guys are a trip. I totally love this.
Humans are just obsessed with phallic-shaped objects.
Say that again?
I said it's like we're obsessed with phallic-shaped objects.
Oh, okay.
Just like all these different adapters are shaped like certain things. I'm wondering if that says anything about the human condition.
Maybe so. I mean, every so often you hear somebody talking away. The cross that's in the middle of the crown means this and that and the other. And the big old thing over in Washington, that's a big old phallic stand thing. And I'm thinking to myself, it really? But some people just really relate it to that. And was that the intention? Maybe so.
I hope not.
Maybe so.
I really hope not. I really hope that these really had other meanings and didn't just mean giant dicks.
Well,
that's currently what the regime is.
I don't know. Culty Talk said yes, because the whole world is about phallic worship. Yep. I totally hear you. LOL, didn't think of that. Mermaid said, that's too funny. And it's just, Rebecca, lefty loosey, righty tighty. I love you guys. You guys are so great.
Oh, that's awesome, Rebecca.
I know, righty tighty, lefty loosey, which I didn't learn until way into my adult years. Because I wasn't taught this as a child. Oh my goodness. So what's been going on with you, Esty? Anything new?
Nothing really new. I just anything new that comes up on YouTube, I watch. It was a big deal today with the allowance of education.
So that was wow.
Yeah, it was a no-no when I was studying.
Yeah.
And then I studied in the 70s. And
Okay.
I took a break in the 80s because I wanted to go to college. So I didn't get baptized. And so I was kind of like missing in action for 10 years. Started dating somebody, and that guy dumped me. And then I got mad, and then I just ran back into the Jehovah's Witnesses community in the 1990s.
Okay.
but knowing that I've seen all the red flags because when I studied, um, I was telling my Bible instructor the 1914 generation doesn't make sense, and they were just laughing at me because I
No,
don't
exactly.
understand it. But
I have that done to me too.
they just change the subject, keep going. I study out of the blue book,
The truth
it,
book, yes.
the truth book. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then well, we kept studying. We study out of 4 books. So when it came time to college, they wanted to stop me, but uh, they know they couldn't go. I was under 18, and none of my family members were Jehovah's Witnesses.
Okay.
So they couldn't stop me. They said, "Well, just study and go on to your study." While I was in college, they probably invited me to the memorial. I'm sure. I still kept in touch, like once a year, for
Sure.
this and that. But anyway, so I started dating somebody, and when that guy broke up with me, I jumped right back into the JWs and got baptized. 1990. Still had a lot of red flags, how a lot of things doesn't make sense.
That's pretty
And
normal, though. If we
to have
flop at something out in the world, we kind of have that mindset of what we've been indoctrinated with is you're going to fail. They're going to eat you up and spit you out. It's terrible out there. And if
Yep.
a heartbreak,
If anything goes wrong, you
a
just
heartbreak-
immediately go, this is what they were talking about.
mhm, we can easily relate it to that and go rushing back to the org. That's very,
right.
very common.
I
Yeah.
did not want to get baptized and then go to college. Boy, that was not looked good. So I go, well, I'm going to get I'm going to go to college first and then get baptized when it's convenient.
So when you
know?
say you were underage, how old were you when you were approached to and they were telling you about the organization?
I was introduced to it in 1971
How
by
old were you
a
then?
4th grader.
Okay.
And I probably officially studied probably about 13, 14. It probably was right after
You were
1970.
9 or 10?
Yes, by a
Oh, okay.
classmate.
By a classmate. Okay.
Yeah, and scaring me about 1975.
Yes.
Then I probably I started studying at 76, 77.
Mm-hmm.
And then just kept studying. I studied out of the Truth Book, Paradise Lost, Paradise Regained. Listened to the Great Teacher and the United in Worship book.
What did your relatives or your parents? What was their view of you studying?
They
with
did not.
Jehovah's Witness?
Because we lived in a very rough neighborhood, very gang infested neighborhood. So if you went to go do things with the Jehovah's Witnesses, that's okay because they look okay. My mom did not
So-
like the fact that I always had to get dressed and read and do all that to go.
But it
But-
kept you off the streets.
Yeah, of the other kind of gang.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know that Jehovah's Witnesses is a gang too.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Anyway, so my mom didn't know what was going on at the Bible study, but they did give me a hard time about college. So one time my mom did get on the phone and told my Bible instructor's mom, don't tell her that she cannot go to college because she's going to go to college,
Nice.
you know?
Okay.
And then they started changing things on how they say things. They just, if I decide I want to miss a Bible study because of studying, they would kind of get mad and say they would say it like this: "What's the use of getting good grades if the new system is coming?"
That's very much the mindset. Yes.
So,
Oh my
and
gosh, yeah.
then now they're not saying that the new system is coming soon. So go to college.
Now,
Mhm.
see, like you were talking about, girls, how are they going to do this? And I've been thinking too, how are they going to do this? Because I've been waiting for something like this to happen and wondering why it hasn't happened sooner. The Mormons go to college. They have their own college, okay, Brigham Young University, and they also
You think
do
we're
a,
headed in that direction?
yes. I don't know if the JWs would have a special JW kind of college, but they are, it's a very rich organization. They started like 80 years before us or something like that. And they are like the richest religion on this earth. I mean, next to Catholics, probably. They're
And Muslims.
filthy rich. Oh, okay. I know nothing about that. Thank you for
I
the
think
Oh
correction.
yeah, that was one of my ways of one of the things that got me out of the organization was that I did take the history of Islam and his Islam and modernity in college, and it just opened my eyes even more.
Wow. I think they have to start with instead of saying don't have kids, have many kids.
See, the reason that's a Mormon thing too.
Huh?
That's a Mormon thing too.
Yeah.
Have
Have many
many kids.
kids so they are our members. What is it? The Catholic, the Mormons, and the is it Adventists? They have their own church too. I mean, college
College.
too.
Seventh day Adventists, yeah, they have a college.
I mean, so
I think so.
I don't know. I mean, I
Just
don't know. I do
realized-
not know if they can have their own hospital with the blood transfusion thing, though. But
I gotta say bye. My boyfriend gets off work in like 3 minutes, and you know my new straight life. I'm gonna be all religious, and I gotta go pray and stuff. So you know,
Stay woke and stay straight.
bye.
bye.
Bye, sweetheart. Talk to you later. Okay. This is too cool. That's fascinating what you've been telling us. So your mom was okay with it because, and she knew the people
Right.
that you were studying with, and with where you were at, that was like a better alternative than what could be other things that could be of influence to any of us. You know?
Exactly. But she didn't know it was a cult. When I
Right.
studied through the whole thing, it's like a lot of red flags. I told them about the new generation that will not pass away, but that doesn't make sense. And they just kind of just deflected my questions.
When you said that they laughed at you, I got that a lot when I was studying.
Yeah, laugh
would
at me like
Laugh.
you're-
It's a form of mocking, is
yeah,
what it is. I was just like, I was shocked actually because I needed to understand things. And when I
right.
couldn't
Me
understand
too.
it and it didn't make sense, going forward seemed like the wrong thing to do. But they wanted me to go forward, even though I didn't understand certain things. In my mind,
Right.
what I'm learning was like bricks upon bricks upon bricks, and they should fit, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I kept getting these bricks that don't fit. So in my head, it's like, I'm not supposed to go further. Plus, being raised in special ed, I got to learn at my own pace in my special ed classes. So I wasn't rushed to go to the next level in my learning. I could stay on whatever level until I got it, you know? If it was 2 weeks, a week, or 6 weeks, that's how I got to learn.
Mm-hmm.
So I was kind of expecting that to happen in a Bible study, you know. That's why I was never baptized, because I couldn't get certain points, and at that 6 months point, they dropped me, and I got laughed at a lot,
Mm-hmm.
which I thought was ridiculous. I thought that was crappy. I'm sorry to hear you went through that. It's pretty crappy.
Yeah. So they just deflect and change the subject, went on and on, finishing up a book, knowing that I'm not going to get baptized because I'm under 18. So yes, I was there when 1975 hit and nothing happened. And
Wait a
when I
minute.
asked,
I'm sorry to interrupt you. They
Uh-huh.
knew you wasn't going to get baptized because you're under 18.
Right.
Many people within this organization get baptized under 18. And now I'm putting it together. Your mother was not a Jehovah's Witness,
Oh
but
yeah,
those
yeah. My
that
mother
get
was not
baptized.
a Jehovah's Witness. I was the only one studying.
So I'm wondering now if that's the way they think about people that are, not growing up in a JW family. I'm wondering if that's like a legal thing that they are aware of. So if a JW child or a Jehovah's Witness family, the child of a Jehovah's Witness family gets baptized underage, that is allowed. But they looked at you like you wouldn't be. That's fascinating.
Yeah,
Wow.
they study with me, and they know I was not going to get baptized because I wanted to go to college.
Okay.
So they just let me go, and so I was missing in action in the 1980s. Then I dated a guy, and he broke up with me, and I was so devastated. I ran back into the Jehovah's Witnesses in the 1990s.
And he was not a Jehovah's Witness, correct?
No, he was Jewish.
Okay.
Then I just studied another year out of the Live Forever book, and I uh, uh, got baptized, married a brother, had a baby in the mid 1990, and when my child started to start school, I felt sorry for bad for him because I really wanted him to be, part of the holiday celebration and all that kind of stuff. Because I did it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and in and around 2002, I guess that letter came out with the elder saying that we shouldn't watch a show, which is the Barbara Anderson show, Dateline.
Yes.
The day they announced that letter, we were already at the meeting.
So was this
Otherwise,
a letter that was read at the meeting from like an elder on the
yeah,
pulpit? Oh
right.
wow.
They didn't
Okay.
even name the show, but they said there is a TV magazine movie that will be on this week. We're just telling you ahead of time not to watch it.
Amazing. Wow.
And that episode aired that day, Wednesday night.
Oh,
So I
wow.
never watched it. I never got to watch that until 2014
Okay.
and figure out about the truth about the truth.
It's shocking, isn't it?
It is. It was kind of funny though because my sister, active JW, knew that I was inactive. I went inactive at 2006 because it was just too tiresome. It was too dangerous to drag my kid to the meetings and field service, and we lived in a questionable neighborhood. So my sister comes and say, "Oh, there's now a new JW website." So I was trying to find it, and I'm low tech. I just typed in Jehovah's Witnesses, and John Cedar's blog came out,
Yeah.
and I read one sentence and I deleted it. That was
Oh, okay.
December 2012.
Did you delete it because it brought up fear in you?
Yes.
Okay.
And then I got nosy. December 2013 comes, and I remember that blog. So I went back in it and I read the whole thing. And then it comes January 2014. I read all his work, and I went down the rabbit holes of XJW YouTubes and read Ray Fran's book, read
That's a
JW Facts book, and
yes.
when I
JW Facts book. Okay.
JW Facts
Website.
website, and then when I went down to the UN membership, that's when it woke me up.
Oh, when it got to the point of the UN membership, that's
Yeah.
huge.
Yeah.
That is huge.
So then I realized what I was at. I tried telling my sisters, but she won't budge. Um, this new
It's so
college
hard.
education thing is not going to get to her because she already got her bachelor's degree before she got baptized.
Okay. Good for her. And
I-
what did you end up taking in college? And
Me?
what did you do with it? Yeah.
I was a registered nurse for 30 years. I actually retired like 3 years ago.
I have a friend who's a registered nurse,
Hmm.
and that's good. A good job.
And it's in California. They pay you well because the cost of living is so high.
Yeah. Congratulations. I'm really happy for you.
Yeah. I did psychiatric nursing, and some
Oh,
of the
Okay.
patients, what they would say, I would later on figure out like, this is what Jehovah's Witnesses say. They always say, we're being persecuted. The government is out to get us. They're all
Right?
nervous. They're all nervous that Armageddon is coming. So they're saying these things and they're psychotic. And I'm
Mhm.
thinking, this is exactly what Jehovah's Witnesses say.
Isn't it a trip that you're watching a patient or a
Yeah.
client that's psychotic talking this way?
Yeah. And
That's creepy. But
yeah.
it makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Wow.
Anyway, so I took my son out in 2006. So he was about 10ish. But my sister, she was the one who introduced me to the website, and she was interviewed on the JW Broadcasting.
Did she really? Okay.
Yeah, I can't tell you who she is, but
Right,
she-
of course.
but so I think she kind of has a bit of royalty in her congregation.
Maybe so, yeah.
So she's going to be too stubborn. No matter what I tell her, she's not going to budge. I think she likes the community. She likes the
Of
community
course.
who showers her with a lot of attention because she was on.
Hmm.
And anyway, so with this education thing, she might think a little bit, but then I don't think it bothers her because, like, again, she already got her degrees, so
Good.
it's not going to
That might-
really affect her. The birthday might affect her.
Okay.
I think. I don't know.
And that's still it's kind of a rumor that might be somewhat something coming up. You know, we're kind of expecting that. We kind of have this expectancy that that's going to happen. I would have thought birthdays, being okay to celebrate birthdays, would have happened before going to university.
Yeah, I
Is okay with the org.
That surprised
What?
me.
I'm shocked, but I'm thrilled. I'm just
Yeah.
like, get out of town. You're kidding me. Really? Oh my God. I'm really glad to hear this though.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. It seems as though they have a board of directors, which are different than the governing body, a board of directors that are, realizes that we were standing out,
Mm-hmm.
uncomfortably standing out, when really the whole purpose was to blend in to society at large to where we would not stand out, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, wearing a beard, women wearing pants to church, these kinds of things, now going to college, it's definitely more mainstream of society at large for today. And wow. I'm thrilled about this. A previous partner of mine worked at Patton. So she was working with the criminally insane. And it would be, some of them, would be afraid when it came close to their time to leave. As a matter of fact, she used to work with Betty Page I don't know if you're familiar with who Betty Page was, but Betty Page was like a pinup girl. She used to have these little bangs, and they used to photograph her. She was very famous, Betty Page, and real beautiful without. But she was in this hospital for the medically insane because she killed her caregiver. Okay, and it was a situation where she was very. It was a very religious mindset, and somehow she got into this religious mindset, and I don't know exactly everything that happened, but because she killed her caregiver, that's why she was in a hospital for the medically insane. But yeah, so my partner told me that sometimes when people were getting ready to be let out, they would stop taking their medication because they were afraid, literally afraid to be let out again because they didn't want to commit whatever it was that they did. They got them put there, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And so they would kind of sabotage that. Just some patients would do that, or some of the clients would do that. But
Yeah. Near the last couple of years before I retired, I would see a handful of brothers and sisters Jehovah's Witnesses come on my unit, really for anxiety, depression, panic attack. There was one girl, adolescent under 18, talked mainly in Spanish, and she said her parents were Jehovah's Witnesses and they cannot find out that she's gay, and that's why she doesn't want to go back to the house because they're gonna harm her.
Yeah.
So she said something at school that she wanted to harm herself because she's so upset of going back home and not wanting to let the mom know that she's gay. So I heard all that. It was terrible, for parents to be mad at their kid for being gay. But she was so frightened.
Yeah, I can understand that. And
So I was able to hear a lot of those things on the psychiatric unit, but nobody knew I was a Jehovah's Witness.
right, or that background, yeah. There's this guy named Jerry Bergman, who the organization, he used to actually, I think, so he used to be a Jehovah's Witness. And he ended up writing out a few things. I don't believe he is anymore, but he ended up writing out a few, I don't know, papers or, I don't know, medical term stuff. But it was like proper medical documented stuff that confirmed that Jehovah's Witnesses were affected mentally more so than the average person in society at large. The situation where he had worked in the psychiatric area. And that was back in 75. And that was pretty amazing when, like, 82, 83, there was a video that came out called Witnesses of Jehovah. And in that video, and it is on YouTube, it's called Witnesses of Jehovah. And within that video, it's like educating the public of what the Jehovah's Witnesses are indoctrinated to believe. And he actually shows up in this video, letting people know that Jehovah's Witnesses do suffer more psychiatrically than the average person. And I've read studies that different, like other people have done. Janja Lalich, she's done one specifically about Jehovah's Witnesses that are gay, okay? And she's a sociologist, so she's done a paper on that. But we're still kind of trying to get to the bottom of what is it exactly that makes us kind of have a breakdown. You know I did when I was 16. I had a mini breakdown. To me, this is just my opinion. in my opinion, when we can't be who we truly are, our own authentic self, and we're trained that we have to have a different personality, that we have to be somebody other than who we are to be approved of by God, our parents, and our political, I'm sorry, our religious authorities, aka God, it doesn't, it's not good for the psyche to know that everything you want to do when you pursue any of your self interests, it's shut down and you get ridiculed for it and told that you're bad for wanting to do really normal things, okay? Ordinary, normal things that a child would want to do. And then the older we get in our teenage years, or even in young adult years, it's promoted to only get involved in kingdom interests rather than self interests. And we're told to put our self interests aside and follow the kingdom interests now, because that's more important than our self interests. We can do our
Right.
self interests in the new system of things. We'll have plenty of time to do it then. So we're asked to set aside that and just get into being a good Jehovah's Witness, going door to door and all that, however we're directed. So I truly believe if we would pursue our own self-interests, that would help us develop into who we truly are, who we authentically are. I believe that would help us develop our own personalities.
Hmm.
I think that successfully making sure that doesn't happen keeps us stunted as people, of not having our own identity and only saying it's okay to have the identity of, that whole put on the new personality as if it's a one size fits all. And it doesn't at all.
Right.
It just doesn't.
Right. And after I had all those Bible studies, I went on to college, and it still affected me because it made me feel very depressed, guilty
Oh,
that
yes.
I'm
Okay.
finishing up a college degree and they're telling me why I should be pioneering. But I still went on and finished it because that I decided in the beginning I was going to do it. But you see how
Yes.
it flooded over and made me so depressed that I did terrible in some of my classes. Had to retake some of my classes.
Is that right?
Yeah,
Wow.
it made me depressed.
It does make sense to know that you're doing something that God's not okay with, or as we were told, God's not okay with.
Mhm.
Wow. Isn't that sad? Doing something that you want to be doing and you're depressed.
Yeah. But I
That's-
finally
yeah.
finished, got baptized in 2006. I got tired of it and I didn't want to bring my kid out in field service. I thought that was dangerous. And I did not thought it was appropriate to drag my kid to the meetings and conventions. So we just stopped. My husband had a temporary job change
Yes.
where he transferred he transferred like 2 hours away from where I live. I live in the San Francisco Bay Area. So he transferred a job for a temporary job change. And I said, this is a good time to change. Just have our publisher card change. Don't go to the meetings. Just slip it into the slot and get out of there. Keep doing it for 3 months. Let's see what they do. And they didn't do anything. They just said, who are these people, And they did call back our old congregation and ask. And they told them, yeah, they moved. But they were exemplary.
Nice. Okay.
And then a couple more years went. I guess a circuit overseer was really coming after them. And they went back to my old congregation. And in my old congregation, one elder just kept coming to our house, and then another one kept coming single elder and knock, try to figure if we were still at the house, our old house
Oh
that
my
was
goodness.
registered with. Yeah, this is harassment.
And he
Then,
would show up by himself, not with somebody else.
right, they would
See,
show up by themselves. That's good. And my
that's
husband got mad, and I said, "That's okay. This is expected. When it's two elders, then you better be scared."
well, yes,
And then,
that's true. But what I was thinking is, because they do the 2x2 things, so that it's because it is kind of like a snitch kind of
yeah,
culture. But if
yeah,
somebody was going to do it by themselves, purposely making sure a second
hmm
person was there, that makes me wonder if they were going to do stuff off script or like beyond what elders are allowed to do. Maybe even like some
that I
spiritual
don't
abuse
know.
things. That's where my head went, but
I have
I could
no
be
idea.
I could be wrong. But yeah,
But
you're right. When two show up,
then I told my husband, when they start showing up in twos, that's when you're in trouble. So what happened was, all of a sudden, my husband noticed a sister who lived 2 blocks from us kept walking back and forth, and she finally saw that my husband drove up our driveway. And I
what?
go, she was spying on us. And then 2 months
Yep.
later, 2 elders came to our house, because that in itself, because she saw my husband drive onto the driveway, verify we really did still live in this particular house.
People don't realize that this kind of stuff happens. Yeah.
And then so my husband didn't think it was anything, and I was telling him she's spying on us. 2 months later, 2 elders came, and this was the elder that is in our neighborhood. They kept coming. We would never answer the door. You
Okay.
know? Hmm? So even one day, he never sees my face. Never. So he's not sure. Do we really live here? Are they renting the house out? When they saw my husband come up the driveway. So
That could be a rental situation. Yeah.
and then I just made a thump, like a cat jump, or who knows, it could be the housekeeper. And then they finally leave. That was in about 2009. We left in 2006. Since then, that congregation has dissolved,
Okay.
and the other congregation has dissolved. And I don't know what they're doing now, because the congregation in the area that I live do not have our publisher card. So I don't think it reminds them to come and bother us.
Okay.
So
Okay.
that's how I escaped, at least for a couple years.
Wow. So your husband and you are still a couple and
Hmm
still together and everything? And,
hmm
and you said he was a Jehovah's Witness. You married a Jehovah's Witness.
Yeah, we met each other at the Kingdom Hall. We were both adult converts. Both,
Okay.
I think we both got baptized in 1990.
Okay. So is he still like a believer and going to meetings, or
No, he's Pomo.
okay?
But I woke up faster than him. He was very sketchy about it, but he didn't want to go back to the meetings. And then when he found out what happened with Menlo Park scandal, for some reason, he started um, expressing that maybe it is a cult. And then because we knew a lot of the elders who were in the lawsuit with the Menlo Park congregation.
And that was Kingdom Halls up north in Northern California, right?
Yes.
So Northern California Kingdom Halls.
Mm-hmm.
Watchtower wanted them to like the Kingdom Hall to dissolve or something,
They
or
wanted them to
put
take
it
out
in there.
loan, and
Okay.
the members pay it back, and they refused. They said, why should we pay it back? It's fine for them. They don't need to remodel.
That's right. That's how they were doing that whole let's remodel, and then that song and dance went into the organization eventually.
Right. The money goes to
Having ownership
organization. Right. And then the members
of it
pay back
all
the
the
loan.
kingdom. Mhm.
So they got an elder who was really nasty, a CO to come in and just stripped all the elders of their privileges. All they have to do is fire them.
Yeah.
Now that Kingdom Hall is sold, but the congregation still exists. They just meet at a Palo Alto Kingdom Hall now.
Okay.
So it wasn't until then, and then he got kind of nervous, and this is what I told, stop calling it the truth. Don't call it the truth anymore. And I said, hand over your blood card. It
You
was
asked
still in
him
his
for his
wallet.
blood card? Okay.
Yeah. I go, I'm not going to rip it up. Just put it over to the side. You file it. Just don't let it be in your wallet. And it's been there since, because he has to slowly get out because,
Sure.
well, in his history, he's a cult hopper.
Okay.
He was born and raised Catholic. In 1970, he almost joined Scientology, but they rejected him because he had no money. Then
Wow.
in the 1980s, he joined the Moonies.
Okay.
And then in the 1990s, he became a Jehovah's Witness. But he
Wow.
faded in 2006. So it all came together when he had a change in job, and he has to be at this job for 6 months. It's a ways off, it's hours away from our house. And we just decided, let's use this time to transfer our publisher car so that it's not in this immediate area.
Very smart.
So, I mean, it worked then in 2006. If it's in 2025 now, I probably would just stop going to the meeting. I don't know. Because everything is electronic now.
Everything is what?
Electronic now.
Yes, that's true.
So I don't know, but I was just very tired. I just had to get off of the hamster wheel.
And so it sounds like you came to this realization earlier than he did. And he's kind of still you said Pomo, physically out,
Yeah.
mentally out.
He was out. He was physically out, but he still kind of believed in it. And he
Sure.
was
Yeah.
squeamish about celebrating the holiday. So we've been out since 2006.
Okay.
And
And that was the time you were talking about your son not wanting to take them to all these different things. It was dangerous.
yeah. And it wasn't until last year he actually put up a Christmas tree and decorated it.
Wow. Okay.
And my
Wow.
son decorates it. And I actually started, let's see, when my son left was 10, but when he was about 8, that's when I kind of told him to start celebrating the holidays at school. I'm not going to get mad. Just start being
Wow.
normal like everybody else. He has no problem with it. He actually liked all the attention when he went to the Kingdom Hall,
Yes.
Bible reading and everything,
Mhm.
answering the questions, and and he still doesn't understand why we left. And I have told him. I mean, he's 30 years old, so now he kind of knows, but he teases me about it. Ugh.
Does he?
Yeah, he would see the literature cart at the park, and he would run up to it and act like he's all interested in it, thumbing through the magazine. And I want
Too
him to
funny.
stop.
Oh my gosh. That's hilarious.
Yeah. But anyway, so technically we were just in for 16 years.
Okay.
But I still have sisters in it who's been over 25 years, and
How many sisters?
there's a total of 7 of us. 2 sisters are Jehovah's Witnesses. One was on the
That's what you're saying, the broadcast. Yeah.
JW Broadcasting interviewing her.
Okay.
So I don't know if that makes her feel mighty, but she's not listening to me. I mean, I would think the Beards would have been something that, like, oh, like, that's weird, you know?
It can be different things for different people. And like I was talking about the bricks, like I can't accept new stuff until there's a foundation to take on the next things. And I think that helps. I think that's the way it is as well for us to, you know, for it to make sense of why it's not right. Things need to be placed foundational and more and more and more things, you know, that sometimes it's spoken of as putting things on a shelf and we're going to get back to it later. And then once it gets too heavy, it falls, you know, or else I'm going to get back to it later, or else you do take the time and you think about it and a certain subject here and there. But at the same time, you self-talk yourself, you still self-indoctrinate yourself back into thinking, yeah, but where else can I go, you know? So they might be wrong about this, but they're still the closest to the truth, you know? So, but it'll have to take so many of those times and doctrines and practices or principles, and, you know, it has to add up, and enough bricks to be placed is the way it usually is for someone to
Yeah,
kind of
and
get their place to let it go.
yeah, they don't know what's next. I don't know how their brains are, and
Yeah.
so that's what happened to me. After that, that's how I got on YouTube. I was finding out all this stuff, and pretty much woke up to the truth about the truth. 2014,
Yeah.
but I faded in 2006, and I'm just keeping up all of this to keep
I
up
like
with
to,
my sister.
yes, I have a sister still in it.
Oh,
Both of my parents are still in it, even though my parents are divorced and my father got married to somebody else, and that somebody else is not a Jehovah's Witness. He got back into it. So they're both
wow.
in the org. And, you know, my two nieces and my nephew are still in it. My nephew went to Bethel this last year, you know, so he's over there at Bethel land being used by the org, you know, and he's just, you know, good-hearted dude, I guess. I haven't had a chance to get to know him, but we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. Somebody reminded me that you never know, that time at Bethel might just be what wakes him up to see that this is not the truth, but in fact, you know, like he might actually see the nuts and bolts of the machine,
Right,
of
I heard
the
that.
cult that it is. There have been people that do. Like, think of it like Marcus Vaughn. You know, he
Yeah.
was, you know, he was Rock Hill Bethelite. You know,
hmm
his story, he was dismissed. Yeah.
I mean, I've seen a handful of Bethelite who come back from Bethel. They come back all the way to California, and no, they do not look happy.
That's what I've heard. I've heard they just, like, it takes years off of them.
You
And
know,
there's, I think they signed something that says they're not even supposed to talk about their time there. So just think,
right?
to not be able to share that because you've taken an oath or made a promise to not share stuff that might have been, you know, toxic or abusive, and it makes it to where they can't heal,
Mm,
and they'll honor it, you know. is they're like a person of integrity who will honor it, but they don't realize that that's also what's
Mm.
counteracting and not working for them. It's not in their best interest. So, how is retirement going for you?
Oh, it's great. I have no complaints.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and I did tell my Bible instructor about 10 years ago, do you have a retirement plan in place? And she said no.
Yeah.
But her husband has a retirement in place, and so I guess she'll have his. I don't know. She'll probably get Social Security, but she has no pension or 401k.
Yep. Neither do I. I was not thinking that way.
So
Even after I left, I did not ever think that way. You know?
you know, so her husband will have to do that, and she works full time. And I really personally think she on purposely worked full time so that she does not have to pioneer. I do not think she likes pioneer. She went to pioneer school, and after that, she never did it. But she didn't want to say anything bad.
Sure. Speaking, yeah, that's a thing. I'm not supposed to speak negatively about the world.
Mm-hmm.
That is so true.
And she always emphasize loyalty and obedience.
Yes.
So it's about no matter what you say, go back to loyalty and obedience, and that it doesn't matter what they say, what they change, what's the new light, what's the new adjustment or new understanding. It is your obedience and loyalty, which never makes sense because what are you obedient to and what are you loyalty to? It
that
might
right
be
there
con
has
artists.
precisely. That right there has me concerned about politics, because the politics of today in the U.S.
Uh-huh.
It's more about the loyalty, you know,
Ugh.
that keeps coming up, and that to me is a real reflection of the organization that I've picked up on, and it's
Wow.
loyalty more so to a person rather than the oath that was taken to the Constitution, and that has got me thinking this is really dangerous, you know, very
Mhm.
dangerous. Culty Talk says they traumatized everyone so many different ways, and she's talking to John.
Mhm.
We didn't deserve it. You're right, we did not deserve it, and our parents were like indoctrinated to just hand us the book, you know, my book of Bible stories, like it's a kid's book, hand it to your kid, you know,
Mhm.
and that book in of itself is just traumatizing, you know. But again, the organization had to gaslight. You know, my mother was in fact recruited. My father too was recruited, so they had to gaslight them to no longer trust their own thinking skills or their own reasoning skills, their own intuition. So they would loyally be obedient, because it's like following God.
Mhm.
That's another thing about politics today. Not everybody thinks this way, but there is a like 35% of some of the far right, you know, that have this mindset that Trump was placed there by God. Doesn't matter what he's done, but he's like a modern day Cyrus, and God is using him. So we need to have full trust in him and be loyal to him. And biblically, the Cyrus of the Bible was not a man of God, right? So, but God used him.
Mhm.
So, you know, calling Trump a modern day Cyrus has to do with that story in the Bible. So there's that. But there's this thing called Christian nationalism, and that's actually seems like kind of just started up, but it's actually started way back in like the 1920s and 30s. That's about when it really started, kind of like with Opus Dei and other groups like Seven Mountain Mandate, where they have this mindset that there's 7 mountains, like 7 pillars of sections of the world that they need to be, the Christians need to infiltrate them, these things, and I don't have them all in front of me. But one is politics, one is the church, one is like the schools, just all these 7 things. Let's see. 7 Mountain Mandate. I'm going to go to images. Okay, here. Let's see if I can look this up. I'm going to open this up and see if I have it here. These are the different 7 things. Business, government, family, religion, media, education, and entertainment. And within this like 7 Mountain Mandate, it's the scripture about when Adam names all of the animals and stuff. He's told that he has dominion over all the animals and all the living things of the earth. So they go by that and say that that's something that still stands today. And what's interesting is and they're joined with other groups, some other groups too, that the mindset is to create the kingdom of God on earth so that Jesus will show up. Okay, if they infiltrate all these different areas, then they can make kingdom on earth. Whereas mainstream gospel is, you accept Jesus's death as the way of salvation, and Jesus will return and get his children, or those that are like considered that will inherit. Okay, that are children by inheritance, not necessarily biologically. So in mainstream Christianity, Jesus shows up and either there's a rapture or however it goes down. But this Christian nationalism believes that they have to create heaven on earth to get Jesus to show up, which is very fascinating. But there's a lot of, so some of the stuff that we're watching go down, such as the 10 Commandments being put in schools, that's one of these things here. There's business, government, family, religion, media, education, and entertainment. So the education, they talk as though they're bringing back prayer in school, and as though they're bringing back religion being taught in school, but it wasn't. But that's how they're talking, as though it had been. And to bring it back is like succeeding over the devil, and being a battle that's won for God. So it's a trip, this whole thing, the Christian nationalism. And it's more than just one thing. By the way, James Dobson died the other day. And he was someone that was very, very persuasive in Christianity. And he had a book called the something child. I want to say The Well-Trained Child, but I don't think that's it. But he promoted spanking and beatings. And like if you had a difficult child that was strong-willed or something. Maybe that's the name of the book, Strong-Willed Child. I don't remember. But he promoted that. and he had a show and stuff. So evidently, the things I'm hearing is that there's been a lot of people that are happy about it, which is actually kind of sad that he's gone. um, that's a trip. That's a real trip to hear about that. So keep an eye on Christian nationalism and see the
Mhm.
directions that it's going in. What strikes me as odd, oh, okay, and there's going to be Bibles in schools, which, by the way, they're not just any Bibles, they are the Bibles, they are the Trump Bibles. The Bible that
Mhm.
Trump came up with a couple of Easters ago, or maybe one Easter ago,
Mhm.
he revealed this the Bible that he put out, and it's the King James Bible, which he was able to do because it's not trademarked or something like that. So the way that he made the Bible and everything, it's all legit and everything. So those are the Bibles that are going to be put into the schools, these King James Bibles. So that's kind of interesting.
Mhm.
John says, remembering being at school in the 1970s, as in third grade, we had flag salutes and moments of silence. Was moments of silence considered prayer in schools? That's a good question. I don't remember. I do remember the flag salute and sometimes the moments of silence. I don't remember what they called that. Could have been. It's the way it is anybody who wants to pray at school can pray at school. You know, um, whatever religion you are, whatever God you have, but for it to be, I guess the word's compulsory. Like, it's not right to have a classroom full of kids that have different cultures and might have different religions have to be a part of a Christian prayer, or for Christians to have to be a part of another culture, another religion's prayer. Like, that's not okay to do. But that's a really good question, John. Let's see, Rob Wall says, Natasha, all I can say is I went to a local lake around here. Sounds like a conversation that started earlier. Yep, the trauma. Part of our healing is getting over the different ways we were traumatized, and some of us don't realize that we were even traumatized. But if we it's very common to get triggered um, for things that just are normal things that happen during the day, and you're just kind of going along, dum da dum da dum, doing life, and somebody says something, a certain song comes on the radio, you might smell a certain thing, and it takes you back to a traumatizing time, which could have been from your adulthood or even your childhood. And when you get taken back to that memory, it's a traumatic thing, and you might not even realize you're being taken back to that memory, and you kind of become on edge. For me, I get on edge and I get bitchy. I'm like when I get too hot, right? So when I notice that I'm acting this way, I stop. I try to reflect after I've been in you know inappropriate in so many levels. Okay, I have to reflect and ask myself, what the hell is wrong with me? What's going on with me? And it used to take me days and weeks, and sometimes I couldn't figure it out. But now I usually figure it out within an hour or two, and it'll be something that had to do with my childhood or a recent, like an adulthood thing, and it helps me understand why I had such a negative reaction to something that's just normal. But it can take you there. So triggering is normal for those of us that have been traumatized. Is basically where I'm going there. And if you notice that you get triggered, you might have been traumatized. That's where I was going with that. But yeah, I'm at a point where I'm kind of like, we could shift the conversation to something else or stay on this one. What do you think, Esty?
So, what do you
about
think the Watchtower change will be next?
Good question. Good question.
I mean, something simple like birthday, or doctrine like 144,000 is symbolic, or we're
I
just going
hope
to get
so.
rid of the 1914 generation.
That 144,000 has been needed to be symbolic for a long time now, don't you think? Especially when people today are partaking, right?
I don't know.
I would think it
They always
becoming
say everybody else is crazy for partaking, but they don't say anything about the new governing body. They're not crazy.
very good point. Very
I
good
mean,
point.
I don't know.
That is so true.
I mean, I think what the education thing is that they're going to try to encourage more kids to go to law school.
Oh my goodness. I think you're right. I think you're right. Because the org does need more lawyers. That's right.
Or legal aids, or I don't know. But
That's right. That's a definite possibility.
we're all trying to guess all this, and I could not guess that today would have been the education thing.
Me either. I'm thrilled, but
Yeah.
still I'm in shock. Like I did not see that coming.
Right, exactly.
Whatsoever. Like I at all. Oh my God, I mean I've heard of like elders
They
that
might
their
get
wife
rid
was
of the
going to college or something and they had to keep it on the down low. But go ahead. They might get rid of what?
HLC, hospital liaison, and just add more acceptable blood fractions.
I would
And
like that.
instead of calling it full blood transfusion is a no, but just add enough blood fraction where you really cover 90% of all your blood,
That would be miraculous.
and get rid of HLC. And they just say, you're on your own. It's your own personal decision.
And it's been, personal decision. They do that with so many of their quote unquote standards or rules, or it's a conscience matter, which you know
Right.
means if you don't follow directions, you will be you will be removed. Yes, removed. I'm gonna shut my screen off and my sound off.
Can you guys hear me?
I just needed to take my meds. I realized I
Oh.
pushed it before I told you the whole reason. Sorry about that.
Hmm.
Rebecca Wise says, yes, I hear you. So does Natasha. Breast milk has blood in it. Yes, it does. Yes, it does.
Yeah, and I think the removal thing, I don't think it's going to be a 2 years thing. It's just you're just going to be like in probation for a month or 2 months. It's like a little slap on the wrist. Okay, you're forgiven. That's it. You're just not going to have people out for a long time anymore.
Isn't that the way forgiveness is supposed to work? Like, they've got people believing that they need to go confess to the elders, right?
Mm-hmm.
When people that are Catholic go and do their confessions, they get forgiven by the priest, even
Mm-hmm.
though it's positionally not the priest's position to forgive Christians, but that's what he says he does. They walk away with forgiveness. None of the Jehovah's Witnesses, no.
Mm-hmm.
They got to go however many months or years
Mm-hmm.
on punishment. And it is
Now,
a punishment.
is the public talk 30 minutes only now?
That I'm not sure of.
Not sure, because I'm hearing that. So they have less meetings, less magazines. It's not the same way like when I study in the 70s. So they do have it. The way they brainwash you is less. So no wonder people are somewhat kind of waking up. I don't know. They should be if this
Yeah,
you not actually turning in a time, and
I
they're
think that going
relaxing the uniform. I mean, they didn't even know that they were wearing a uniform.
true, true. By dressing up in dress clothing, it says you mean business.
Hmm.
You know.
And you don't look like worldly people. That's how it was
Mhm.
expressed to me. So we're different. We're not like worldly people.
Absolutely.
But I guess they just want to go mainstream, make it attractive, especially get the young ones in, encourage the young ones to have babies, because that's the next future of money coming in.
I agree. Welcome,
Yeah.
Wildwall.
Hey, how you doing?
Good. What's on your mind?
Oh, I had a couple of things I was going to say on what's next for the JWs. I like what you said about going to university now to where they can get more lawyers. But along that same line, I think they're going to want more to go to college to get become realtors, real estate agents, to where they can flip more properties in the future for building kingdom halls and turn around and flip them to make money that way. And they're going to want more computer operators up at headquarters, as well as people that's into the production crew now for all their latest videos they're going to be releasing. So I think it was a no-brainer they had to change that with that latest JW update, because they're getting too many that they're wanting to get a higher education to help them out now. It benefits them.
So this is an update that got changed.
Yes, it was in the one that was released, I guess, last night or this morning. I watched it. It was the latest JW broadcast update.
Okay.
It's the one that talks about it's
Okay.
the conscious matter on the higher education.
Okay. I'm thinking as if JW broadcast got updated. No, they have that JW show once a month, and then they have updates that are separate. So that's what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's
One of
the
the updates that are separate. Okay.
right. Yeah, it's actually called. I think like in the comments there, it's an Amber thing posted update. I think that's how it's referred to as the latest JW broadcast update, and that's the one you'll want to look for.
Thank you. Wow.
I had a
Yeah.
couple of questions for. I guess you pronounce her name Esty. Is that right?
Yes.
Yes. There's a lot of common ground you and I have. You said, if I heard you right, that you actually started fading in 2006 or 2008, but it wasn't till 2012 you watched John Cedars. Does that sound correct?
I faded in 2006, and I did not learn about tact completely until 2014. And it was all because I accidentally Googled Jehovah's Witnesses in 2012 thinking that I was going to get the JW website.
So I'm guessing in 2012, it was actually John Cedar's site called JW Survey that you first stumbled on then.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, good. Well, were you ever part of Simon's website back in the day that me and Rick Farron and a bunch of us old timers were on? It was called Jehovah's Witness Discussion.com.
I think I read through it, but I never answered anything.
Okay, but so you were never a member on there. Okay, so it just seemed like some of the stuff you were talking about, we all had discussed on there. So I can tell you had read a lot of information over the years through that. And so I had to get on and congratulate you for that because I think we're probably close in age. You should. It's a compliment when I say you don't sound your age. You sound much younger. I would have guessed probably in your 40s, if that. But if you were around,
I'm retired and
yeah,
I'm in my early 60s.
75. Yeah, because I was born in 67, so you have to be somewhere in that age bracket. So
I know people were probably wondering because I kept going back and forth with the 1970 and then studying in the late 70 and knew about 75. And then I knew I didn't say anything about the 60s. And then some of when Rick does his test, they probably think, oh, how does she get that? You know, like, so anyway, so it's the fact that I was introduced to it very early by a classmate, and she was just going on and on about 1975. Oh, and she brings me to a meeting, and my first meeting at 11 years old, they're talking about bedroom laws.
No freaking way.
No, and I thought that was weird, and I should have ran then.
I know, right? But how would you know at 11? Right?
You wouldn't know. You don't know what they're going to talk about.
Right? Oh my God.
Yeah.
I don't remember ever talking bedroom laws. Ever. And I think I did a lot of disassociating as I was growing up in New York.
That's what I was asking everybody. Do people just zone out during the meetings? I mean, seems like when I look at my friend, she seems to be like a professional zoner outer. She knows how to zone out of this and not think too much about it. Like, oh well,
unless she's getting paid, she's probably not professional. Just kidding.
You know.
No,
so I think
that's cute.
She'll still be in after this education thing. We went through a lot about that education thing when I studied with her, and I kept telling her 1914 doesn't make sense, and then she comes to me in 1995. It changed, and then now it's overlapping generation. I have not talked to her in 10 years, so I'm wondering, I am curious as to what's going on with her because I asked her all these things. She really didn't have anything to say except deflection.
Yeah. I think that, what do you think, if you think about how they speak at the beginning of a talk, and then they just keep going and going and going, and it's kind of like the same process. I think that kind of lulls people's attention and puts them in kind of a daydreaming state, not like under hypnosis, but it puts them in a state of kind of daydreaming. Have you?
Yeah,
I think that too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree.
And it's that hypnotic repetition that they repeat, and sometimes in a monotone voice, and it's like it just lulls you to sleep, and you're like, okay, and your brain's still picking that up, but you're kind of trying to zone out as much as you can. The only thing that helped me back in the day was I was an avid comic book collector and reader, and the whole time a lot of the meetings was going on, I was thinking of Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, and then I was flipping over from DC to Marvel and thinking Spider-Man, Iron Man, and Fantastic Four. I was trying to compare all that stuff in my mind to keep sanity. I was like, man, because after so long of going through what they did, it's like it's the same old, just a different day.
Yes. Absolutely.
Now, Esty, did you ever look at Randy Waters' site? It was called freeminds.org back in the day.
Yes, I read through his site.
Okay, that's what I guessed it when I was listening to you talk. I was like, I bet she knew Randy Waters, or at least the stuff he published, which it helped me a whole lot back in the day too.
Yeah, he
So-
had a newsletter that would come out about every 3 months, and it would be mailed to us, an actual newsletter that we held in our hands. And believe it or not, he used the exact same font as the Watchtower, and I actually found comfort in that. That it was familiar, and it gave me comfort.
Yeah.
Isn't that a trip?
I remember when I first was waking up and learning the tat, as Esty referred to, the truth about the truth. One of the people that I really admired and looked up to, she was on Simon's site. We referred to her as Grandma Grace. Her actual name was Grace Gow. You may even have heard of her, Linda, but she was a good friend of Randy Waters. But I try to practice stoicism, being a stoic, and try to keep my emotions in check. But man, the day I heard she died, oh, I broke down and cried. I mean, she was always, they called her nickname was Mouthy because she always talked to everybody. She made everybody feel so welcome. It don't matter if you was a guy or a girl, young or old, medium range, it didn't matter. She made you feel welcome and right at home. You could feel the love just radiating from her voice, and just, or as she texts, even in the way she worded stuff. And she always would be like one of the first ones to welcome a new one. But I do miss people like that, of the old ones. And I admire them even today, because without them, they were like our pioneers, and apostate pioneer. They led the way. They were willing to go out before the internet was even a big thing. And they helped so many people. And so they'll always hold a special place in my heart, because without them, we wouldn't have had the community that we do have today.
Actually, today, the 23rd, it's probably the 24th already for you, but is an anniversary for the internet. And I was looking through my memories, and it said like 9 years. 9 years ago, I posted about the internet. See, I don't know how many years it's been, but it's an anniversary of the internet coming up. Should probably Google that too.
Yeah, and way before Simon's site, Linda, they had a thing. I wasn't part of it, but I heard all the old timers refer to it. It was called H2O, sort of like, I guess, water.
Yes.
You've probably heard of it then, and I would have
heard
loved
of
to have been on that. A lot of the ones, like from what I understand, Scholar and Maximus and Minimus, and a lot of them were on that before Simon's site. So that was before my time. But I would have loved to have been around to hear some of them guys talk back then about the changes way back then and what they had saw in the organization.
Yeah, there was a lot of stuff that was painstakingly done. That isn't as easy to do as it is today. By finding certain portions of Watchtower literature and comparing it, and like in the 80s and stuff, most of it was, leaving the organization and going towards Christianity. So there was a lot of apologetics happening at that time, more so than today, even though it is still going on today. So there would be the comparisons of mainstream Christianity and how the Watchtower taught, and it would show the inaccuracies. And that was a big deal for a lot of people, including myself at the time. And it was very helpful.
Yeah, they would go into real depth about the scriptures and the different translations and everything. I know what you're referring to, and it really did help you understand all the problems the Watchtower had, other than just their constant new light, so to speak, that there was a lot they got wrong at the very beginning. And hence that one guy that went by Scholar. He had the scholarly works to back it up and everything. I love to read his work and everything. Even on Simon's side, I'll go back and look up some of his stuff. It's like, wow, it was well researched. And
Oh wow, you can look it up still.
yeah, Simon's site's still going. It's
What's it called?
it's Jehovah's Witnesses discussion.com.
Okay, I know that. Okay.
Yeah, you know how like it's
I don't know it. I don't know it as being Simon's site. That's what.
Yeah, and Simon, you know, he was originally from the UK, if I understood right, and then he moved to Canada, so he's still in Canada. Him and his wife's name was like I can't pronounce it right, Angrid or ANG something other. It was a strange.
Maybe?
Yeah, it was one of those names you don't hear every day. So,
Okay.
But yeah, every now and then I get back on Simon's site just to see how many old timers are still around. A lot of them's passed, you know, and then others have become what we refer to as ex-JWs. They no longer, you know, they don't want to donate one more minute of thinking about Watchtower or anything. And I'm proud of them people too, because they're going on
Yes.
about their life. But
Yes.
that I've been around for a while as well. And one day I might refer to myself as an ex-JW, not have nothing to do with it. But I just feel like I've been helped so much by so many people. I wanted to try to give back to the new ones that's exiting, because it can be a scary thing for a lot of them. And
Yes.
especially when they realize the truth about the truth not being the truth, it can shake them to their core. And if somebody can help them out or encourage them to go to XJW meetup to where they realize they're not crazy or they're not alone, it really goes a long way in helping them.
Yes, it does. It really does. And for us to realize that those that, you know, yes, they might have discovered a few truths that has them leave the organization, but them going back to the organization a couple of times is also not uncommon, you know. So we don't have to give up hope and think that everything's, you know, that they've given up what they've learned on the outside. They still have that as they go back into it. You know what I'm saying? If you think of an abused spouse syndrome, right? It's known that it takes like 8 or 9 times of leaving their abuser for them to finally do it for good. Okay? They go back all those other times. It's a thing. So when we think of that abused victims will go back to their abuser in those situations. That's also happening within cults. But eventually they're probably going to leave. They'll get out quicker. Go ahead.
Yeah, and going along with what you just said, Linda, I watched a interview earlier. You may have already seen it, but it was that she does production of her own podcast. It was called hashtag something, but her name, you can Google her name. It's Elizabeth Morales, and it was a very interesting interview that they did with her, and she was talking about being raised as a Jehovah's Witness and everything that involved and trying to escape. And she had a very good definition. She's like, to me, the reason she can't refer to Jehovah's Witnesses as a religion, as well as a few others out there, she's like, a religion is something that you can leave anytime you want without any repercussions. You just simply don't believe it no more. A cult is something that once you quit believing, they're going to make it hard on you. They're going to cuss you. They're going to shun you. They're going to cuss you your family, your friends. She's like, to her, that's what distinguishes a religion from a cult. And I like how she brought it out. It was real. I was like, that is a good distinction right there. So not all religions, I guess, would classify as a cult under that definition, but definitely Jehovah's Witnesses and Mormons and Scientologists and stuff like that, where they make it very hard on you to leave, they would all definitely be classified as a cult.
Yes. Elizabeth Morales.
Yeah, Elizabeth Morales.
Elizabeth Morales.
Yes. And her name is, I thought it was spelled Z-E, but it's ELIZABTH. And then it's sort of like morals, MORALE.
Is she an actor?
Yeah, she's an actress, and she did some Spanish stuff, and she did some producing behind the scenes. And
Okay.
I wish I could think of the. I just saw it today, the interview. It was awesome, and the only reason I was linked to it is off Facebook, and somebody had shared it on there, and I went and watched it, and I was like, the name rings a bell. It sounds familiar, and then that's what it was when I Googled it. I understood some of the stuff she had been in and such. So, and but I loved her definition of the distinction between religion and cults, and that's why she said she can never refer to the witnesses as religion. She's like, they're not, because they don't allow you to leave anytime you want. It costs you basically everything you hold dear. So,
Exactly. Exactly. That's exactly what it does. And see, that's something that the courts, when they're questioning Jehovah's Witnesses, when they find themselves in court, and we're trying to do this whole shunning is terrible. Once they get to the point of, meaning the courts, are people able to get up and walk out and leave? And the Jehovah's Witness lawyers like, yeah, they can do that. Then they don't see it as a cult or as dangerous. So that's got to change.
yeah, and that's why it's so important for all of us to let the court system know that they do shun, that they might not refer to it as disfellowship now, but they'll say removed. And I actually think the reason they reworded that, it gives them the pretense of more power. Like, we remove somebody, like physically or mentally, emotionally, whatever they want to call it, but we had to remove them to make us look like the bad people that we supposedly are.
Yeah. It's an
Yeah,
Amber. Amber's in the room. Yep. Hi, Amber. Good to see you. And Natasha says, first thing I saw was Silent Lambs. I still collect
Yes.
sheep. That was a big thing. Yes. That
That
was
was
a very big thing.
That was a real good website too. It opened up the eyes to many people about the child abuse.
It's still an active website, and he also does special witnessing, or he can be a special witness in court. You know how they have to hire special witnesses for certain subjects.
Uh-huh.
He can be hired to be a special witness because he's good at it. He just knows his stuff. He was kind enough to let me interview him as my first interview. I was like, it was amazing, that first interview I had, and it was William Bowen. I was wow. That's back when I started with 6 screens.
Oh, is the interview actually on 6 screens, or is it?
Yes.
That would be interesting if Rick could let you copy it over to your side, and you could have that to where nothing would happen to it. Just, even if it ain't on your main homepage or whatever, just have it in the archives or something. That'd be an awesome thing to have for you.
Yeah.
Because I'd like to see it. I've never seen it. I'd like to go back and look at it.
That was a pretty cool interview. And since then too, I've called him a couple of times and went like, why does this happen and this happen? And he's just real well, just super cool to me, just been very kind to me. And I've been thankful for that,
Well, Linda, I'll hop off of here now. I just wanted to step on and say hi to you and talk to Esty and tell her I really appreciated you and her conversation earlier. I could understand where she was coming from on a lot of the information she was sharing and discussing. And I know you could too, Linda, because it comes back from our time when we were really first coming out of the organization and getting the help we needed at the time. I'll put it that way. But I hope everybody out there is having a great time and their life's getting better. And I'll talk to all y'all later.
Thank you for joining us. I appreciate that.
I enjoyed it.
I'm going to close up in about 10 or 15 minutes. And but I'd like to give you a chance, Esty, if you wanted to share something before we left or before I closed out the show. Is there anything you might want to share?
I don't have much to say. I just been out for 19 years, and it really is not the religion I originally started with, and that's fine by me. I mean, they might as well change the name of it. I don't think they
Right?
will, but so it'll be interesting what else they're gonna say. And I'd be very interested if they start doing birthdays and if that would kind of tick my sisters off. Like, what? You know, that's I think that would be a big one. The education thing is not a big deal to them because they already got their bachelor's degree.
Yeah.
So,
It's been my belief that the reason holidays and birthdays were taken away was, yes, they say they have some pagan roots and all that. And yes, that's true. But I also believe that helped isolate followers to where those are events where we would get together with friends and family besides Jehovah's Witnesses.
mm-hmm.
And they might actually have some influence on us. So I think that was something that was done to make it to where we would not be influenced by outsiders. That's just an opinion of mine. But
Yeah.
no, that's what I was thinking.
Uh-huh.
Amber says, absolutely. Yeah.
So
You
I
know
think
what?
they'll just change everything back to looking like mainstream religion, just any kind of religion.
Yeah, I'm glad they're making these shifts. Did you hear, Amber, that today it was announced, like, I have to still look it up, that JWs can now go to college, university? That's like something that got announced today that I haven't looked into yet, but I'm finding out on the show. Is that, I thought, I was way shocked to hear that. So, yeah. I'm wanting to say thank you for everybody that showed up on the show tonight. It was so cool to open up the show and just talk to you guys. And then when I finally opened it up and saw who was in the chat to see who was all there, thank you so much for showing up and interacting amongst yourselves and being willing to listen to me and the things I bring up. And thank you for what you bring to the show as well. I love looking at the chat and seeing the conversations that you guys have going on amongst yourselves, even. And it's something that I look forward to every week. And thank you for those that are going to listen later on. I really appreciate you showing up here, and the chances that we get to have to basically fellowship, to hang out with people that get it. I kind of see us like prisoners of war. When prisoners of war get together, and I don't know if you, like, when I see prisoners of war talk to another person their age or whatever, I cannot conceive what they went through, and most people in society at large just cannot fathom the stuff we talk about, the stuff that we went through and was willing to obey because we believed it was directions straight from Jehovah himself, but more and more people are getting freedom from this organization. And in that process, we have this journey of healing, and we're all in like these different places. And yes, there'll be some drama sometimes, but for the most part, we're a pretty supportive group of people, not just here, but the ex-Jehovah's Witness community, most of them, And I want to remind people also to go to Fixing My Faith, the channel Fixing My Faith. Vern has a GoFundMe for a process that needs to be done that the insurance he has is not going to cover. And if you have a few dollars that you can donate to that, I just want to encourage you to do that. And I'm doing this reminding thing because out of sight, out of mind for me. So Vern's just and Shauna are just amazing people that I feel blessed to have in our lives. And you know what Vern's going through is very uncomfortable. So I'm hoping that he gets enough money to be able to do this procedure. So if it's on your heart to do that, please do. He has a GoFundMe that you'll be able to find on his channel. And I'm probably going to look for it as well and start putting it on my channel as well. So thank you for everyone that showed up here. It's truly the highlight of my weekend. And I will catch you next weekend, okay?
Okay. See you next weekend.
Thank you for joining me, Esther.
Bye.
Join me again anytime.
Okay.
Okay. Good night, everyone.
I never made it, but I know what it's